up and I'm going to have the man talk. Daughter and boyfriend.
Oh, hell no, you not. No, you not. Not with my child. There's no way in the world I would be okay with Kody having this conversation with my child. Zero possibility that I would be okay with this. Like, this is a great way for Kody and, unfortunately, for Christine to get cussed the hell out. Like, you do not sit down with my child and have these kinds of conversations, especially these kinds of conversations without my permission or without my input into what it is you're telling them. And part of the reason why I'm so adamant about that is exactly what happened. You can't trust everybody to give your kid the appropriate information. Sometimes when people try to protect their child, they give them information in a way, in a form, in a fashion where they actually lead them to a bad place. You put them in a bad situation because you give them false confidence. You make your kids feel like they're on a Disney show or Nickelodeon or whatever the hell it is, where they think that they're smarter than the adults because the adults clearly have no idea what it is they're talking about. What Kody is going to say is that, you know, there's biological and reasons why you got to do what you got to do. And he goes about the business of trying to scare the kids into being afraid of this activity and this experience. I don't want my kid to be afraid of this. I don't want them to have fear in their heart about it, especially the girls, because biologically, girls have a harder time enjoying the experience. And when I say enjoying the experience, I'm talking about finishing the process of the experience, if you understand what I'm saying. If you handicap your daughters into thinking that they're doing something wrong, they're doing something inappropriate, that this is something that they shouldn't be a part of because they are doing something against nature, then you're handicapping their ability to actually enjoy the experience, and therefore you can create problems for them in their relationships moving forward. Now, what I like to teach my kids is not fear of this experience, but discipline. I want them to have discipline when it comes to this experience, and not just discipline in, left, right, left, push-ups and all that other stuff. I'm talking about discipline with regard to being able to control oneself, being able to be the master of your domain, the captain of your own ship. That type of discipline. And it's not just, so that when they're young, they don't get involved in premarital this or premarital that. What I want them to have is the ability, the tools necessary so that they can take those tools and apply them later on in life to have functional, mature relationships with the individuals that they want to have relationships with. If they want to be involved in a monogamous or even a polygamous relationship, you have to have control. To be honest with you, the more open your relationship is, the more control you have to have. If we're going to keep it all the way a stack, if you can date or you're married to somebody and you can take additional wives and you don't have any controls, then you're going to be out there just making terrible mistakes all over the place. You're going to meet some lady standing in the grocery store and you're like, hey, now, what's going on? I like them lamb chops. And the next thing you know, you're making mistakes or you're making errors, or you have a friend and the guy is hanging out with you all the time, but you have poor control. You have poor self-control. You have poor impulse control. So you don't understand that the decisions you make can actually damage your relationships. This is part of you maintaining that discipline mindset as opposed to that fear mindset. Having human sexuality and human interaction and our ability to have this level of intimacy is a fantastic power. And if you teach your child to be afraid of that power, they'll never learn to wield that power and use that power for their own happiness. So they'll never be able to find out that this is something that can be a tool of a relationship. It's not the end all and be all of a relationship. And what Kody tends to do when you have these types of these kind of conversations, you tend to make this type of relationship, the physical aspect of the relationship, you make it the golden grail of the relationship. You make it something that's so important and so secretive that it must be amazing because the parents don't want us to have it. And you turn it into something that should be sought after. And they're already, to be honest with you, he likes talking about biology. Biologically, there are already strong enough pushes for them to do and engage in certain activities. Now, when Kody is talking about fear, here's one of the things that he had mentioned as being a reason why he's concerned and why he wants them to be afraid to engage in this type of activity. Let's take a listen.
The nature of it is that you're going to break up and you're going to have a broken heart from it.
The nature of it is you're going to break up and you're going to have a broken heart from it. The truth of the matter is that I'm not afraid of broken hearts, because your heart is going to be broken because it's life. In life, you're going to experience ups and downs. Your heart is going to be full of love, compassion, and there's going to be times when your heart just gets shattered to pieces. And one of the hardest things for people to realize is that once it happens, it's not the end of the road. You can have breakups, you can leave people, you can decide that you don't want to be a part of this relationship anymore, and you can move on. And part of the power is that when you move on, you realize that you will be okay, that you will be fine. This is one of the traps that I see for many of the sister wives that they kind of fell into. They didn't realize that they could do it by themselves, that they didn't need Kody, that they didn't have to be a part of this family anymore if this family wasn't suiting their needs. If they were being neglected, they were being mistreated, they were being abused. This is something that they didn't have to participate in, that they would be okay. And if you don't have that experience to know that you will be okay, you have to like yourself and you have to look out for yourself. And you have to make sure that every relationship you're in feeds you and gives you the things that you need in order for you to be happy. And if you can't do that because you don't have the experience, then you're shortchanging yourself. One of the reasons why so many people are concerned about Christine and her relationship now as she's moving into possibly getting married, or her engagement and moving forward with getting married, is the idea that she doesn't have a lot of experience. Kody was her relationship. Then that relationship obviously went horribly wrong, and Kody wasn't a good husband, he wasn't a good lover, he wasn't a good father, he wasn't a good partner. So the concern is always, is the new guy, Dave, that she's engaged to, is he a good guy, or is he just slightly better than Kody? Is he a good guy who's looking out for her and treating her the way she should be treated? Or is he a guy who's just, instead of him coming in and worried about getting over across the street to the pencil box, robbing, he's trying to come back and hang out with her, and because he's willing to sit down and watch a TV show with her every once or twice a week, 3-4 times a week, all of a sudden he's a great guy. That doesn't necessarily make him a great guy, it just makes him better than Kody. The relationship standard or bar that she had was set so low that the concern is always that she might not know the difference. And I'm not saying that she's wrong and she doesn't know what she's doing and that the dude ain't awesome and amazing. I hope he is. But that's just one of the concerns that people has, is that she has very little experience when it comes to love. And that's one of the things that you want for your kids. You don't want them necessarily out there running around, jumping in and out of bed with people, but you want them to experience certain relationships, especially when you can help to guide them within those relationships. If they're experiencing those relationships in your home and they have their heart broken in your home, then you can be the person that they come to that can give them the counseling and the guidance that they need in order for them to get over that relationship. If you wait until they're adults, like Kody said, they're 24, then when they have these bad experiences, then what happens is they tend to look towards people who may not be in the best position or have the best intentions when they give them that advice. Next, so let's listen to Kody talk about what happens when you kiss somebody, because kissing is the gateway drug.
When you kiss, the person that you kiss, their hormones go into your mouth, and it registers certain things that will stimulate both the heart and the body for other reasons, okay?
The fact he's sitting there talking like he's some authority on, if you kiss somebody, they have this venom and it's called cooties. You're a ridiculous man. You go ahead with the cootie argument. You don't want those boy cooties up in your mouth. They have these hormones that shoot into your mouth, and next thing you know, you're in love. Like, what are you talking about? I mean, if it's just a matter of you having like some kind of mouth poison, I don't know why dudes just don't start biting women like vampires and inject the poison into them. You gonna be in love with me? That's so ridiculous. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And this is part of why I don't want people sitting there having these kind of conversations with my kids, because they don't need to be filled with foolishness in order to go out and date people. The problem with them giving bad information, like shooting hormones up in your mouth, is that all they have to do is walk out of that meeting with the parents, Christine and Kody, and go into the hallway and Google it. And then once they Google it, it'll say, well, Dad doesn't know what he's talking about when it comes to the hormones getting shot in your mouth, the cootie thing. Then there's a possibility that, Kody didn't realize that this is actually a fun activity for people to participate. Everybody's doing it. They just don't know. They're old. They're out of date. They come from a small town. Anything that they can use to discredit what you have to say, they're going to use, especially if it's a little boy trying to get what he wants from your daughter. Now, I might say that the kids are going to go outside and Google it, but let's hear what Kody would have to say to defend himself in his position when he gave this terrible, terrible advice. And I'm sure even the cameramen were probably back there rolling their eyes like crazy. So let's hear what Kody has to say.
You know what? I've read enough science on it to feel like science backs me. I think kissing can be very dangerous.
I feel like I read enough science where the science backs me. What science book did you read, Kody? I don't know. Was it something I saw on the intranets? What site was that on? I don't know. It's probably around IamRight.com. I believe that's where I located that particular piece. Like, the dummy, stop giving out bad information. Stop talking to other people's kids, first of all. If you want to mess your kid up, there's nothing I can do to stop you from doing that. But what you're not going to do is mess my kid up, too. Like, you're not going to give them bad information. That's just bad, horrible, terrible information. The hormones in your mouth, backed up by science. Like, this guy is like a Facebook meme. Like, this is part of the reason why I don't get in discussions on Facebook. You always have somebody on there talking about, oh yeah, you got to do your research like I did. Well, where'd you do your research? I don't know. You got to find it yourself. What are you talking about? Finally, let's hear what the kids had to say, or at least what Kody thinks the older kids had to say about his perspective on his big talk, his man talk.
My other kids had come to me after I had given lectures like this and said, Dad,
you were right.
You were right.
No kid has said that ever. And I don't know whether Christine is fooling herself or whether she's just drinking a Kool-Aid. Nobody thinks that Dad is right. Nobody thinks that Kody is right on point and he knows what he's talking about. When he tells them not to do it and you look at the relationships you're in, it very well, if he did hear anything that was even remotely close to that, the only way I can imagine that happening is he has a conversation with his kids. His kids are, very excited about this person that they met, and maybe they're feeling that crazy way, and he gives them the big warning, this might not be somebody you want to be with. And then the kids being kids, a week later, they realize that this guy isn't the person they thought he was, and he wasn't worth the time or attention that they were pouring into him, and they start thinking to themselves, good thing I didn't go all the way with that guy. That doesn't necessarily make Kody's approach right. It just means that you're telling them not to engage in something, and it's not that they shouldn't ever engage in it, but they just happen to meet the person that they absolutely positively shouldn't engage in this particular activity with. There's a big difference there. And like I said, I don't think that it's a parent's role to try to dictate when their kids should or shouldn't do something. I think that you have to give your kids the power to make those decisions for themselves, and an informed, intelligent decision when it comes to those types of things, because you are not going to be there with them all the time to protect them from the decisions that they make or decisions they want to make. And two, even if you have the best intentions in the world to protect them, you can't protect them from them. You can't protect them from themselves. So if they decide that this is something that they want to do, a course of action that they want to participate in, they're going to do it whether you want them to or not. So you have to try to make sure that they have the information necessary so that they can at least make informed decisions when it comes to this subject matter. That's my take. I'm James. This has been my take on reality, and I'm out. 'Cause I've been living life right like I